Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I will start the lesson now. This is the first lesson that we are going to do with regard to business process analysis and process design. So, first, we will go through the L1 form and then we'll come back to the lesson. So, just give me a minute. Okay, so this is the L1 form that we're going to cover. So, usually we have lectures on Thursdays from 1 to 3. So for this, if we are going online, we will conduct the lectures most probably from 12 to 2. It would be easier for you all and for us as well. If not, we will be having the lectures from 1 to 3. I will just let you know every day at what time we are going to have the lecture. So I will be conducting myself as the primary instructor for this course module. And Mr. Tashil will be conducting discussion classes. So if you have any questions with regard to this course module, you can contact me or either Tashil. So for the continuous evaluation, we have allocated 40 marks. Out of that 40 marks, either 2 individual quizzes or 1 class test will be given. So usually when I'm doing quizzes, what I do is one quiz will be an announced quiz, announced one, and the other one will be an unannounced quiz. Or else we would be having a class test as a something like a mid-semester examination. So I will let you all know what I'm going to do within this semester, and there will be individual assignment for 15 marks, and the group assignment will be 15 marks. So the group assignment will consist of a report as well as a presentation. So these course objectives are given, and we have 15 weeks to be covered. So we have to cover the first week today. Okay, so even though I have created these 15 weeks, sometimes certain lessons might be changed, like it might be shuffled. Shuffled means the order might be changed or the topics might be changed. Okay, so this is a rough schedule of the things that we are going to cover within this lesson, and the recommended readings are given, and some of the recommended readings are already uploaded to Moodle as well. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear with regard to the L1 form and the things that we are going to cover within this lesson. So we'll start with the first lesson. So lesson 1 is Introduction to Business Processes and Business Process Management. Okay, so basically, even though the course's name is Business Process Analysis, so basically what we are going to focus is on Business Process Management. So within Business Process Management, we can identify the Business Process Analysis phase as well. Okay, so this is the lesson that we're going to start. So these are the ILOs that you have to achieve at the end of the lesson. So initially, you should be able to define and differentiate what is a business process analysis, and business process management. So here you can identify 3 key terms: business process analysis, and business process management. And the next one is you should be able to evaluate and identify the elements of a business process. So when you consider about the business process, you can identify elements. And the next one is you should be able to explain the origin and history of BPM and process thinking. And the final one is you should be able to list out the steps in BPM and BPA life cycle. Okay, so we don't have much to be covered today. We only have 4 ILOs that we need to achieve. So those ILOs are very simple ILOs. So we will go through the lesson. So before that, can you all hear me? I could ask from you all. Chandi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chandi. Okay, so moving forward. So for the purpose of delivering the lecture, I have divided the lecture into mainly 4 parts. So initially we will go through a small introduction, and then we will discuss about what is a business process. So within the introduction, we will discuss what is a process actually. And then in the third one, we will discuss about what is BPM and its origins and history. And finally, we will discuss about business process analysis and its life cycle. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we have to cover today. So we'll start with the introduction. So we'll start with a small Padlet activity. So I will copy the Padlet link to the Moodle. Sorry, the Padlet link is given in the Moodle as well. So I will copy that particular link to your chat box too. So it would be easier for you all. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I have sent you all the Padlet link. So what you have to do is you have to identify what is a process. So I think you already know what is a process. You have learned about the process in operations management, lean manufacturing. Likewise, we have discussed about this particular concept in many subjects. So even in this subject also, we are going in deep into processes and business processes. So before starting the lesson, you should have a good understanding about what is a process. So can you write down an answer? So if you have access to Padlet, you can use Padlet. If not, you can use the chat option or you can use the choice option also, whatever you prefer. So start writing your answers. I will give you all about 3 to 4 minutes to give an answer for this one. Are you clear about what you have to do? Sandhini, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sandhini. Then give some answers. I will give you some time to give some answers. Okay, so when you're usually giving answers in Padlet, what you have to do is you have to click this plus mark, and for the subject, give your name, okay? Rather than writing down the question, just give your name from next time onwards. For this time, it's fine, and can give the answer. So here we can see some answers. So process is a series of actions or steps taken to achieve a particular end. A series of actions that are followed to achieve a particular result. Likewise, we have given several explanations. So basically, in summary, all of these things discuss about a series of steps or actions that have to be taken in order to achieve a particular result or a goal. Okay, so in essence, we can identify that as a process. So we will go into the slides now, what I have identified as a process. So basically, we can identify a process series of connected steps or actions to achieve an outcome. So, for example, if we consider an organization, we can identify various processes. So, we can consider the organization as one whole single process as well as in each and single activity also we can identify process. For example, we can see that this one. So, for a process, we have to put input, and there is a processing steps, and there is output as well. For example, if we consider this one, in this particular process, in this particular activity also, there might be a separate process. There might be a separate process in each of these as well. So likewise, as a whole also, this one is a process. In each and activities also, you can identify a process. Okay, so basically this is a process. A process transforms an input into an output. So basically, a process is something that gets input from the environment and gives an output, either a good or a service, or a product or a service to the environment. So the input could be an idea, information, raw materials, or decisions. So likewise, I hope everyone is clear about the process now. So now we will try to give some examples. So give some examples of processes that you are familiar with and identify its process steps. Okay, so can you all do this one? So for this one also you can use the Padlet. So just give me a minute until I erase the things that you have already put here. So what you have to do is you have to go to Padlet and write your name also. So I'll show what you have to do. So you have to write your name here. And then here you have to write what is the process that you are going to select. For example, if you have to identify a process that is familiar to you. For example, if I'm considering purchasing a mobile phone through online. So this is the process that I am familiar with. So then you have to identify the steps here. Okay, so step one, what you have to do. Likewise, you have to identify the steps here. Step one, step two, likewise, identify the process related to purchasing a mobile phone. Step one, step two, step three, likewise, identify. So can you all do this one? Are you all clear about the things that you have to do? Sarindu, are you clear? Sarindu, are you clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, so those who have not renamed yourself with your registration number plus your polling name, please rename. දුරංජන එකපාරට මොකද මාරු කරේ නම 100ක් තිබිලා නම තිබිලා අයින් කරානේ. අහයි කියලා. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to rename yourself with your registration number plus your polling name. Okay. Okay. So everyone rename this one. While this, I will give you about 5 to 10 minutes to do this activity. So if you have any questions, you can ask anytime. So the activity that you have to do is you have to identify a process that you are familiar with. It might be within the university or outside the university. Any process you can identify. Even in, if, for example, if you have gone to a field visit and you are familiar with the process that you have learned in a field visit, you can take it here. And you have to identify the process steps that you can remember. Okay. Then we will discuss. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, so others also quickly try this out. I hope everyone is trying to answer. If you can't use Padlet or don't have access to Padlet, what you can do is you can use the chat option to give the answers also. So I have three answers up to now. Sanjana is considering the manufacturing process. Bhagya is considering transaction of money between accounts online. And Taridu is considering student registration for the semester. Okay, so I will give you another about 5 minutes. At around 12:30, we will discuss these answers and we will move forward. Okay, so as you can see, I think we have a lot of answers here. So Sajia is then ordering a book online. Ilogini ordering online sales. Imesha manually product development. Ordering a cup of coffee in a month. Hospital patient admission process. Shashini onboarding a new employee. Kavin the research process. For both the processing of planning a trip. Okay, so I will take a couple of these answers and we'll discuss. So for example, if we consider Sanjana, Sanjana is considering the whole process of the organization. Even I have some answers in the chat option also. Ahimsa is food ordering process from an restaurant. Okay, so we'll take Sanjana's one. So manufacturing process. So she has considered the whole process. So as I mentioned earlier, when we consider about the process, we can consider the whole process of the organization as well. In this subject, we will be considering about we are going to consider the whole process as well, but we are going to more focus on simple processes and how we can analyze those things and how we can improve those things. For example, if you consider Tarindu's one, it's very familiar for you all and for us as well. So students registration for the semester. So collect the relevant forms from the Dean's office first. Fill them correctly with the relevant information, do the payments, and hand over the completed forms bank receptionist and students recording book to Dean's office. And the final one is do the online registration. Okay, so Tarindu, have you seen any standard operating procedure or is this process standardized, Tarindu?
No, sir, I just put them.
Okay, so have the Dean office shared any material regarding this process, or you have just got to know about this process?
As I know, they didn't share any procedure.
Okay, so they have not shared any material. No, okay. So basically, when we consider about processes, certain processes are standardized. For example, if we consider, I'm going to take examples from the uh, university because everyone is familiar with these examples. For example, if we consider the examination process. So within the university, the examination process is standardized. So everything is there. So what are the steps to be taken? So for example, the role of a examiner and role of the chief examiner and role of invigilators and what they have to do, at the start of the examination, likewise after the examination, what they have to do, to whom to the particular papers have to be handed over and what information should be there in the particular paper packets. Likewise, everything is standardized. Okay, so basically when we consider about processes within an organization also, we can identify processes that have standardized and they have like worksheets or standard operating procedures. Likewise, everything is given in those documents. So for example, in the university, we can identify the examination process as a standardized process. Okay, so the other one is lecture rescheduling process. For example, lecture rescheduling is usually done by a lecturer. So for that particular process, there is no standardized process. So what we are going to do is we are going to look at the particular timetable that has been shared by the dean's office, and we are going to identify whether is there any time slots, and then we are going to go to the dean's office and make the booking or make the rescheduling of the particular lecture. So that particular process is non-standardized. So certain people will not be looking at the timetable first. They will be straight away going to the dean's office. Some people will be looking at the timetable and going to the dean's office, and some people might be going to the dean's office straight away. So likewise, when we consider about a process, we can identify standardized processes as well as non-standardized processes. I hope everyone is clear about processes. So for example, in here, being to by example is also regarding the whole process. So in here, in this particular subject, what you are going to mainly focus on is not the whole process, a process of a business or one single process. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear about processes. Is everyone clear? Can everybody send me a message through the chat option whether you are clear or not? So if you are clear, just send me a message telling yes. If not, no, and what you need to clarify. Can everybody send me a message through chat option? Okay, so the next one that we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss about business processes. So before moving, okay, so we'll move on to the next session now. So now we are going to discuss about business processes. Okay, so we'll start with a small question. You don't need to go to the Padlet for this one. For this one, you can use the chat option or the voice option. Can you all identify what is a business process? So now you know what is a process. So then what is the business process then? So I will give you about a couple of minutes to answer for this one. So you can use the chat option for this one, or else you can use the voice option. So what is a business process actually? Okay, so when you're sending answers, just send it to everyone so everyone can see the answers. So Metmini is telling it is a series of tasks or activities that are performed in a specific sequence to achieve a particular goal or objective within an organization. So according to Sarandu, collection of activities undertaken to achieve business objectives. So any other answers? I will give you another couple of minutes to give some answers. So if you have any answers, just quickly send it to me. So according to Chandi, a series of tasks or set of activities performed by a group of people to achieve organizational goals. According to Chamadi, a business process is a series of steps or tasks that a company follows to achieve a specific goal. Okay, so everyone is correct. So basically, the consideration is a business. So the processes that happens within an organization. So basically, see, when you consider about a process, it's a series of activities, taking an input from the environment and putting output to the environment. So basically, from the business's perspective, when we identify a business process, so this is simple. There are several explanations or several definitions for a process. So this one is a one definition that I have taken from the reference reading book that I am using for this course module. A business process is a collection of interrelated events. So you will also mention the series of activities or series of steps or series of actions. So likewise, interrelated events, activities, and decision points that involve a number of actors and objects. So we'll discuss about what is actors and what is objects in the when we discuss about the elements of a business process. So for now, just identify the people who are involved or the objects that are involved in the process, which collectively leads to an outcome. So basically, outcome would be a product or a service. For example, when we consider about business processes, there could be business processes that cater internal parties or cater out external parties as well. So basically, these outcomes should provide value to at least one customer. So basically, through a business process, what we are going to expect is through a series of steps we have to achieve a certain outcome. So outcome means goals and objectives. So basically, through achieving those things, we should provide value to the customers. So that's the one definition. And the second one is a business process is a collection of linked tasks which find their end in the delivery of a service product. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a collection of linked tasks. So these series of steps are interconnected for the purpose of delivering a service or a product. So service or product to the client. Client means the customer. Service or product means the achievement of the goal or objective. Another definition is a business process is structured set of activities designed to produce specific output by systematically coordinating people, equipment, materials, and information. So basically, all of these things discuss the same thing. So, so write down this particular first one. First, write this one. So write the first definition down. Nilojini, are you going to write this particular definition down?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, Nilojini. So I will give you all about a couple of minutes to write this down, write the first definition down. Okay, so I hope the time would be enough for you all to write it down. So now we will move forward. So when we consider about an organization, so as I mentioned earlier, within an organization, we can identify a main process. So that transform takes input and output. For example, the example that was given by, I can't remember the name. You gave that example, I can't remember. Okay, so for example, if you consider the whole organization, we can identify one single process. So within that particular process, we can identify number of processes. So as an organization, you have to manage those processes. So those processes are known as business processes. And when we consider about these processes, are the things that companies do to deliver a service or product to the customer. So for example, each and every organization has a particular customer, an ultimate customer. So for the ultimate customer, they have to provide a service or a product that is in value. So for that, they have to do certain tasks. So the organization have to do certain tasks and activities. So those tasks and series steps of tasks and activities are known as business processes. Okay, so basically, based on the way how we are going to like process the particular processes as well as how we are going to design these processes have an effect towards the quality of the service, or the product that we are giving to the ultimate customer. So based on the design of the process and how we are going to perform the particular process have an effect towards the quality of the service, as well as it has a effect towards the efficiency of the particular services that are delivered. Efficiency means within the organizations also, if we based on the design and where how we perform the particular process has a effect towards the quality of the service or the product and the efficiency of the organization. Are you clear about that particular factor? Let me, are you clear? Hashini, are you clear? What about Gauri? Are you clear, Gauri? I hope you all can hear me. Ayomi, are you clear, Ayomi? Tarindu, can you hear me, Tarindu?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no? I think others, Ayomi, Gauri, and Ethni can't hear me. Okay. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, the processes, the way how we processes are designed and performed have an effect towards the quality of the service or the product as well as the efficiency of the organization. Okay, so for example, if we consider if we provide like similar kind of services, for example, if we consider a manufacturing organization like car manufacturers like Toyota, BMW, Honda, Tata. Likewise, we can identify different organizations that provide same kind of service or product. Actually, in here they provide a product, similar kind of services or product. So, how an organization can outperform these particular similar kind of services is the way they perform their processes and how they execute them better. Okay, so for organization that provides similar kind of services, they have to design their processes well, as well as they have to execute them better. So that's how they can outperform their competitors. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the elements of a business process. So can you all guess what could be the elements of a business process? So can you all guess? Ishara, can you guess? If you can guess, yes. If not, no. Ishara. What about Tarushi? Can you guess? What are the elements of a business process? Subodha, can you guess? So if you can guess, you can guess the things. If not, just say that you can't, you don't have any idea. Subodha? Okay, Deshan, do you have any idea?
Culture.
Okay, culture. Any other things? Shivashant? Okay, so basically, when we consider about elements of a business process, we can identify the elements based on business. HR is telling business objectives. Yeah, it's somewhat correct. Objectives means the outcomes. So when we consider about elements of a business process, through the definition that I gave you all to write it to be written, you can identify the elements. For example, these elements are known as ingredients also, ingredients of a business process also. So basically, ingredients is ingredients or elements of a business process. So we'll discuss about these things in a extensive means. I will explain these things in the coming slides. For now, just identify event, activities or tasks, decision points, actors, physical objects, informational objects, outcome or outcomes can be identified as elements. So write down these elements. So there are 7 elements here. So write down these 7 elements. So after that we can discuss. Minoli, did you write these things down? Minoli? What about Chamalti? Did you write these things down?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the time is enough. So for example, when you consider about these processes, as I mentioned earlier, through a process, we should provide an outcome. So basically the outcome is something that is valued by the customer of the particular process. So basically, ideally an outcome should deliver value to the actors involved in the process. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one now. So what is an event? So events corresponds to things that happen atomically. So without interruption. For example, if we consider a process, the arrival of a piece of, this is example, the arrival of a piece of equipment at a construction site is an event. So basically we need to purchase a particular equipment. So we are going to provide a PO, purchasing order. So the event that starts the business process is the arrival of a piece of equipment at a construction site is an event. So this is something, some event, for example. And the next one is the activity or task. So after the arrival of the event, it might trigger execution of a series of activities or a single task. Okay, so once the particular equipment is received by the construction site, what they have to do is they are going to inspect it. So when a piece of equipment arrives, the site engineer inspects it. For example, if you only have one single task or very basic task, it is known as a task. So if you have a series of activities, for example, if we get the particular equipment, we have to check the POs and we have to send it to the labs and we have to take a sample. Like us, we have to do a series of tasks. We tell that as an activity. So activity includes a series of tasks. So task mean a single task that we have to do. For example, if the equipment arrives, we only have to inspect it. Okay, so if within the inspection, if you have like a series of activities that we have to do, series of tasks that we have to do, it is known as an activity. So the next one is decision points. So after conducting this activity or the task, we have to make a particular decision with regard whether we are going to accept the particular equipment or not. So points in time when a decision is made that affects the way process is executed. So basically this particular decision point affects this particular decision point affects how the process is going to be executed further. So as a result of the inspection, the site engineer may decide that the equipment should be returned or the equipment should be accepted. So basically the decision is whether we are going to accept the particular equipment based on the results of the inspection, or else we are going to return the particular equipment based on the results of the inspection. So that is a decision point. So these are the elements of a business process. And the next one is the actors. Actors are the people who are involved in the particular business process. So it could be human actors or organizations or softwares that is acting on behalf of actors or organizations. So basically actors means people or the organizations or the software systems that are involved in the particular process. So when you consider about actors, we can identify internal actors as well as external actors. So internal means the people who are actually involved in the process. So those people are known as process participants. So external means business parties. For example, the person who is supplying the particular equipment to us in this particular example. And the next one is physical objects, such as equipment, material, products, paper documents that are involved in the process. And the next one is informational objects. Informational objects could be electronic documents, electronic records, or any information, anything that gives information. Okay, so the next one is outcomes. So basically, as we mentioned earlier, when you go through a process, there should be a outcome. The execution of a process leads to either one or several outcomes. So it could be a one single outcome or it could be many outcomes. Okay. So it could be either a positive outcome. So when you consider about the outcomes also, it could be a positive outcome or a negative outcome. So if it is positive, we can say that we have achieved our goals and objectives of the particular process, or else we have created value to our customer. So if it is a negative outcome, we have not achieved, and we have not achieved our goals and objectives, and we don't create value to the customer as the customer has intended, or we are not able to satisfy the customer. So basically, outcomes also two types. One is positive outcomes, and the other one is a negative outcome. Okay, so the person who consumes the output is known as the customer. Okay, so is everyone clear about these elements? So do you have any questions with regard to the elements? Havindi, do you have any questions? Is everything clear?
Yes.
Okay, so what about Nimanta? Is everything clear, Nimanta?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what about Ahimsa?
Clear, sir.
Okay, clear. No? Okay, so for example, if you consider the early example or the elements of a business process. So as I mentioned earlier, there is an event. So these things happens in a atomical way. So based on the event, it triggers an activity that we have to do. So based on the activity, we have a decision point. So basically, decision points, this based on the event and the activity, we have to make a decision. Okay, so based on the decision, we have to identify whether it's going to go further or it's going to be returned. based on the example that we have discussed, the equipment. So if we are going to accept the equipment, we can input into our process. So usually a process will deliver an outcome. The process will deliver an outcome. So within, for example, before going to outcome, we'll discuss about the business process. So as I mentioned earlier, business processes involve actors. So actors could be either internal or external parties. So objects, physical objects or informational objects. So after going through a business process, it will deliver a particular outcome. So the particular outcome would be a positive outcome or a negative outcome. So if it is a negative outcome, we are not going to deliver it to the customer. So if we are not going to deliver means we are not going to deliver value to the customer. So if it is a positive outcome, we are going to deliver it to the customer. So this is the connection between the elements of a business process. Okay, so is everyone clear? The things that we discussed up to now, Bhagya? Harushi, are you clear? Chami, are you clear? Shashini, are you clear? Okay, so it seems everything is clear because nobody's telling anything. Okay, so basically when you consider about business processes, the analysis part, the designing part, the improvement of business processes is not only related to business process management. So there are some other fields that discuss about the improvement of business processes as well. For example, can you identify? So in these pictures also it says, for example, total quality management. So they also focus on developing business processes. So improving the business processes. Operations management. So basically it also involved in developing business processes. Lean management. Six Sigma. All of these particular disciplines also focused on developing business processes. So they deal with business processes and how they can improve each and every process further. So likewise, these disciplines are also involved in dealing with business processes. Okay, so is everyone clear up to this level? Can you send a message through the chat option? Okay, it seems that everything is clear. So we move on to the next section. Okay, so basically we will discuss about how this business process management was developed and its origins and history. Okay, so we'll no need to do this Padlet activity. So I will show what is business process management. Okay, so write down the first definition first. After that, I will explain. So write down this one first, business process management, this definition. After that, I will explain. Okay, so in this definition, it discusses what is business process management. Is a body of methods, techniques, and tools to identify, discover, analyze, redesign, execute, and monitor business processes in order to optimize their performance. So basically, it means business process management means the use of methods, techniques, and tools in order to like do several activities with the intention of optimizing the performance of business processes. So the activities that are involved in business process management is identifying, discovering, analyzing, redesigning, executing, monitoring, and processes. So this particular course's name is business process analysis and designing. Okay, so basically within business process management, we had to do these activities. So as I mentioned earlier, even though this course module is named as business process analysis and designing, we are not going to only focus on analyzing and designing. We are going to focus on identifying, discovering, also analyzing, redesigning, executing, monitoring. Likewise, we are going to learn about all of those things, as well as different tools and techniques that we can use in business process management. So apart from this particular definition, we can identify another definition. So in this definition, it says business process management is a management discipline that treats business processes as assets. So basically, in this definition, it says business processes are an asset to an organization in order to be improved, managed, and optimized over time. So that's another definition. So all of these definitions, or the two definitions that we discussed, the focal point of business process management is focused on business processes. Okay, so now we'll look into the origins and history of BPM. So go through this particular chart for a couple of minutes. After that, I will explain. The x-axis shows the time and the y-axis shows the workers' focus and workers' capability. So go through this thing first. After that, I will explain. Okay, so in here, we can identify three phases here. One is this one. So basically, in prehistoric times, very thousand years ago. So the workers' focus was the entire process for all the products. So they didn't have much needs and wants. They just have the basic needs. For example, food, shelter. Likewise, they had simple needs. So basically, the workers focus on entire process for all products, not only one product or two products, for all the products, entire process. So workers' capability is pure generalist. It means they are capable of conducting all the processes of all the products. For example, if they are producing for example, if they are producing a computer, he is capable of producing a computer. And if they are producing a disk, he or she is capable of producing that particular table. If they need to farm to get food means vegetables and rice grains and other things, he specializes in that activity as well. So everything he knows, every process of all the products. So that is how things happened in prehistoric times. So workers focus on entire process for all the products, and workers capabilities pure generalities. And the next one is in between ancient times and Middle Ages, entire process for a single product. So have you heard about craftsmanship? Anybody have heard about craftsmanship? Prabodha, have you heard about craftsmanship? Prabodha? Minoli, have you heard about craftsmanship, Minoli?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you just explain in simple words what is craftsmanship, Minoli? Would you be able to do that? If you can't remember, just let me know so I can explain. Can't remember, no? Okay, so basically craftsmanship means these particular workers have focus on one single product. For example, if you consider a carpenter is very specialized in producing like tables, chairs, cupboards, and other things. So we can identify it as a one single product means the category is one single category, and he's aware about all the entire process, like weaving, the weaving of the particular table, not the table chairs, and the producing the legs of the chairs. Likewise, every particular element of that particular process, they are specialized in one single product. So their specialty is intermediate specialist. And then during the industrial times, the workers' focus was on single part of a process for a single product. So they only focused on one single part. For example, if we consider a chair, the person who is in the process of producing a chair, for example, in assembly line, one person would be specializing in preparing the legs. One person would be specialized in preparing this one. One person would be specializing in assembly. So likewise, they will be specializing on only in one single part of the particular process for a single product. So they are known as peer specialists. So for a particular process, uh, a particular activity in a process, they are specialized in that particular activity. So after these times, the functional organization mindset also develop. For example, if we consider in an organization, we can identify different functional areas. So through these particular times, the functional organization mindset also developed. So they didn't think about the whole process as one. For example, the HRM people would be focusing on the HRM function. The operations people will be focusing on the operations function. So they didn't consider about the whole organization as a whole. So then only the way of process thinking emerged. So that's how business process management were birthed or originated. Is everyone clear about this? Sanjana, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So moving forward, so we'll discuss about what is process thinking now. For example, look at this particular image. So this is the purchasing process at the Ford. At Ford, I think you have heard Ford. Ford is a motor car manufacturer. So this is the purchasing process at Ford in the initial stage before thinking about process thinking or before applying business process management or anything. This is how a process happens. So the process is purchasing a particular equipment. So this is the process related to purchasing an equipment, and this is how it has been happened. So go through this one. So after that, I will explain how this has been improved through process thinking. Okay, so in here, for example, at Ford, if they need to purchase a particular item, what they have to do is they have to send a purchase order to the vendor. And also the purchasing department have to send a copy of the purchasing order to the accounts payable department. Okay, so once purchasing department send it to the vendor, vendor will be shipping the items to the warehouse department with a good shipment notice. So once the warehouse department once the warehouse department receives the particular items, they have to send a shipment notice to the accounts payable department. Sorry, before that, when the vendor is sending the items, they have to send a good shipment notice to warehouse department as well as an invoice to the accounts payable department. And then warehouse department have to send a shipment notice to the accounts payable department. So to make the payment, the accounts payable department have to check the invoice, shipment notice, and the purchasing order copy. So they have to check these three documents at the accounts payable department. So then only they can proceed with the payment. So to do this particular process at Ford, they had 500 people checking 14 items on 13 documents. So for this particular process only, they had allocated 500 people. So before like application of business process management or process thinking, they have done the particular activity like this. So after some time, after like benchmarking other processes and learning from others, they have developed the particular process and simplified to process thinking. So they have considered this particular process as a whole and they have developed the simplified version. So in the same example, if you need to purchase a particular item from the item from a vendor, what you have to do is through a purchasing database, you have to update the purchasing database as well. So you will be sending a purchasing order to the vendor. So vendor, what does vendor do is vendor will be sending the items to the warehouse department. So they don't need to send a invoice to the accounts payable department. So once warehouse department is received the items, they will be updating it in the purchasing department, and accounts payable department can access the purchasing department and identify whether the vendors have sent the particular items based on the purchasing order. If it is okay, they can proceed with the payment. So now this particular process has been redesigned in a way that has been simplified. Okay, so that's how process thinking. So you have to consider the whole process as one. So if you only consider about your aspect, the process is going to be complex. So if you consider the particular process as a whole, you can think in a way that is whole, like process thinking. You can simplify the particular process. So after the improvement, you only required 120 people and you have eliminated the checking of 14 items and 3 documents. You can just straight away look at the purchasing database and you can identify whether the vendors have delivered the products in a proper manner or not. And you can go forward with the payment. Okay, so is everyone clear about this one? Shadir, are you clear? Duranjan, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move forward. So when you consider about these central purchasing databases and other things, there are process-aware information systems that supports business process management or business like improvement of business processes. So this has happened because of with the integration of IT and centralized databases, these process-aware information systems were prevalent. So I'm not going to explain one by one. So I think you know what is enterprise resource planning, customer relationship management systems, you know. So document management system is something like database management system. So this one you don't know. Workflow management system or business process management system. So basically through this particular system, you are going to develop a model of business processes. So process models are generated through which work is distributed. So once you develop a process model, you are going to distribute the activities with actors. Actors could be either internal or external parties. So basically through these systems, you can manage your workflow. Workflow means business processes also can be managed. So these 4 systems are process aware information systems. Okay, so is everyone clear up to this level? Can you also send a message to chat option whether you're clear or not? Okay, so if there are no any questions, we can move forward to the next section also. So in here, we are going to discuss what is business process analysis and its life cycle. Okay, so what is business process analysis? So business process analysis means, so read this one first, after that I will explain. Okay, so business process analysis is a systematic approach to examine, evaluate, and organization's business process. It involves identifying, documenting, analyzing the current processes with the intention of identifying bottlenecks, inefficiencies, areas for improvement. So that is business process analysis. So analysis means you're going to take a existing business process that you have, you're going to identify the particular process and you're going to document it, and you're going to analyze using different statistical or different types of tools of the current process, and you're going to identify whether there are any bottlenecks of the process, or is there any inefficiencies or areas for improvement. So this is known as business process analysis. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear about what is business process analysis. Okay, so before going to this one, did you all discuss in the last week? You had a discussion class, no? Let me. Did you have a discuss? Did you had a discussion class either physically or online before this main lecture? Let me. MG 1989. Why have not? Why have you not renamed yourself? Please rename yourself with your registration number plus your calling name.
Okay.
Okay, so Nimanta, did you have a discussion class earlier? Earlier means before this main lecture with regard to this subject.
Yes, sir.
Yes, no. What did you all discuss in the discussion class?
I
Can you
think Tahir sir gave us a question.
was it?
Tahir sir gave us a question.
They gave you a question. So what is the question?
At the moment, I don't remember. Sir.
You can't remember. Anybody? Tarindu, can you remember what was the question that you discussed? Okay.
As I can remember, the difference between the business process analysis and the management.
Business process analysis and
Business process management.
okay. So did you all discuss it? Okay, so I hope you got to understand about what is the difference between business process analysis and business process management in your discussion class or business analytics. I can't remember what is the question then that was discussed. So we will do a small Menti activity. So in here, what we have to do is we have to select the most suitable answer out of these three things. So go to menti.com. I hope is everyone familiar with Menti? What you have to do is you have to go to menti.com. And type in this particular code 6410 and give your answer. Go to menti.com, menti.com, and it asks for a particular code. For the code, give this particular code 6410 6410 4571. And there will be three answers for you to answer. There are three particular options. So the question is, select the most suitable answer. So do you think BPA precedes BPM? BPM is a part of BPA? BPM precedes BPA. So what is the correct answer out of these things? What you have to do is you have to select the answer and you have to submit it. Okay, you have to select it, either this one, or this one, and you have to submit it. Okay, so now give your answers now quickly. I need everybody. Everybody has to try this one out. Madar, are you clear? What you have to do?
Sir, I just joined. Heavy rain, sir.
Sorry.
I just joined. Oh, sir. Heavy rain.
I didn't get you, Madara. It's fine. Okay, Kavindya, are you clear about what you have to do?
Yes.
Okay. So then try this one out. I will give you about a couple of minutes. Okay, so what about others? Only about 9 people have answered this one. Okay, so as it seems only 12 people have answered, so we'll continue with these answers because we have to finish the lecture also. So, okay, so according to this one, many of you all are telling BPM precedes BPA. So it means you have to do BPM and then you have to continue with BPA. Is it correct? And the second two people are telling BPM is a part of BPA. Can what that means is BPA is a part of, sorry, BPM is a part of BPA. And two people are telling BPA precedes BPA. So you have to do BPA first and then you have to do BPA. So what would be the correct answer from this one? More everyone like this one is incorrect. BPM precedes BPA. Majority have voted for that one. That one is also incorrect. BPM is a part of BPA. It's also incorrect. The correct answer is BPA precedes BPM. So it means we have to do business process analysis first, then you can move on to business process management. So if somebody say BPA is a part of BPM, it's correct. So BPM does not precede BPA. So the correct answer for this one is the first one. BPA precedes BPM. This one is the correct one. This one is also wrong. This one is also wrong. So it means you have to conduct BPA first and then you can move on to BPM. If you draw something like this, BPM is here, BPA is here. So to do BPM, you have to do BPA first. So in here it discusses this BPA, BPM, BPM, BPA. So these are incorrect. So the correct one is BPA precedes BPM. So do you have any questions with regard to this one? Yes, Sarindra, do you have any question? Okay, so if anyone has a question with regard to this one, you can ask now, or else I can move forward. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, I will move forward. Okay, so this is another definition of business process analysis. So I gave one definition at the start, and this is another definition of business process analysis. So business process analysis is a methodology for the analysis of a business with a view to understanding the process and improving the efficiency and effectiveness of its operations. So basically it means you are going to analyze the business. So analyzing the business means you have to analyze and understand the processes within the organization. So after understanding them, you have to improve, or you have to identify bottlenecks. Likewise, you have to improve it. So through improving processes, what you are going to have is you are going to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the operation. So ultimately, you can improve the business as well. So in another way, through business process analysis, we can identify whether a process is doing what it intends to do. So for example, if you have a process, you have to identify whether there are any variations or whether it's doing what is intended to do. So that's not one thing. And the next one is assist in identifying the flows. So if there are any flows and bottlenecks of a process, and designing methods to overcome. So basically identification of inefficiencies and improvements through design. A proper process analysis is compulsory to avoid resource time waste in identifying process failures and improving them. So basically through conducting a process analysis, you can identify whether there are any flaws and bottlenecks. Through that, you can improve them. Okay, so that's another definition of business process analysis. I hope everyone is clear. So moving forward, when to use business process analysis. So go through this chart first, after that I will explain one by one. Okay, so in here, these are situations where we can use business process analysis. One is to fix a process. For example, if a particular process is not doing what it intends to do, we have to fix the process. Or if there is the bottleneck, if there is only deficiency, likewise, we have to fix the process. When a customer, for example, when a customer complaint increases, or if there are increased machine breakdowns, likewise, to draft a standing operating procedure. Okay, so if there are no standards, you have to do business process analysis in order to develop a SOP. Okay, so when a process like an SOP, when the process stakeholders are unclear of how to carry out the process, under such situations, you have to do business process analysis. And the third one, at the introduction of automation to any process to ensure process is optimized. For example, we have to make sure that everyone follows the same structure. So because of that, we have to do business process analysis. And the next one is replacing a process with a new one. For example, if there is an existing process within the organization and it is redundant means it's outdated. So if it is outdated, if we are replacing it with a new one, we have to do business process analysis and carry forward. Okay, so these are the situations where we can use business process analysis. I hope this one is also clear. So this we'll discuss this BPM lifecycle in detail in the next week lecture. So for now, just have an understanding about this one. So the first step is process identification, process discovery, process analysis. So basically process analysis, process design, process implementation, and process monitoring. So this happens like a cycle. So just have an understanding about these things. So if we consider BPA means the process analysis part. So it also has a life cycle. So it has these particular steps. So I took this one from the internet, not from the recommended reading books. So these are some of the steps that you have to go through business process analysis. So defining the scope, identify stakeholders, map the current process, gather the data, identify bottlenecks and inefficiencies, engage stakeholders, benchmark and best practices, brainstorm solutions, prioritize solutions, design future state, develop implementation plans, test and iterate, implement and monitor, collect feedback, measure and optimize. So these are some 15 steps under BPA life cycle. So this one was taken from the internet itself. Okay, so is everyone clear about the things that we covered up to now? I hope everyone is clear. So as a summary, what did we discuss? Tashini, what did we discuss at the start of the lesson? So we have to summarize the lesson now. So what did we discuss at the start of the lesson or at the beginning? Shashini? Shadir, what did we discuss at the beginning? Ahimsa, what did we discuss? Sashika? Yes?
What is
Yes.
the business process?
Okay, so initially we discussed what is a process, and then we discussed what is a business process, and then
Elements of business process.
yes, we discussed about the elements of a business process, and then we discussed about the BPM and its origins and history, and then finally we discussed about the business process analysis and its life cycle. Okay, so is everyone clear about the things that we covered today? Okay, so for the discussion, I think you have done the first one. We have to discuss the difference between business process analysis and business analysis. And I have given another one. So you have to read the case study and upload to Moodle and answer the questions given. So you have to read the particular case study and you will have to upload it to Moodle as well. So I think you have the discussion classes today in the evening. So after doing the case study, you have to upload it to the Moodle as well. Answers. Okay, so case study is also will be uploaded to Moodle. So if you don't have any questions, we can finish off for today. Just send me a feedback whether everything is clear or not, and you can leave the meeting. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice week.